such an asshole.
Good morning, children. No, afternoon. AskConsulting.com. Questions, answers, go there. If you want the truth and not lies, if you want lies, there are plenty of other consultants in the world that will tell you lies, or you just watch television or the news. Hey, Cappy, I'm a not white guy, late 20s, making a significant amount of money with no college degree. I didn't want to, those three variables would give you away. I asked a few questions a while back about impending doom and tired of dating one. I asked a few questions a while back about impending doom and tired of dating one. Today, I've got a question about what you would do next if you were me. If you were in my situation with a very good career, an amazing, you're actually a tango champion, working remotely even before the disease. For me, I am not sure what else there is to do besides just live a life of hedonism. I don't want to get married and have no desire to be in a relationship anytime soon. And frankly, I just don't care about women anymore. And all the way up to the age of 22, that was my purpose. Well, and that's every purpose of guys, you're programmed that way. It's the number one drive. And we talked about this before in the previous video we had, where novelty runs out on everything. Even the most beautiful woman, you will get sick of her. The old joke, no matter how hot she is, some guy is sick of her bleep. I'll try and monetize this one. And so this is why it's very important for you to go out and do other things, have friends, have a life, even if you do get married. But you have conquered through working out, being excellent in your own respective fields. And I know this, being a ballroom dancer, and in your case, a professional champion level, the girls are just going to totally throw themselves at you, and you're sick of it. But, it's the best. Oh, chocolate is my favorite ice cream. Eat a gallon of it, you'll be sick of it that day. Everything I did back then was to become more attractive to women. It was pretty much the major motivator for me. I wanted to travel to meet more women, make money to get more, imagine providing a life for my wife and kids, and these images would make me grind harder. As it always had. I had this observation, and you're about the age, maybe you're a little young still, but I remember, back in the young, when I was your age, it was like we would stay out. I would get back from teaching dance class into the city around 10:30 at night. And I'd still go out. I'd still go to a nightclub. I'd still, jazz club, go dancing, whatever. We wouldn't go home until the bars closed. And the reason why is because you were on the prospect of getting laid. You were on the prospect of meeting a girl. Girls also stayed out because they were on the prospect of finding a guy, maybe finding their potential husband. And that gave men the energy. Then once you get a wife or a girlfriend, that energy is gone because you have no incentive. You're not, and then you get older and you're like, God, how much time did I make? Really? All that for just that many girls or that many dates? But there's no doubt about it. Testosterone is what drives not only men, but the world. It's our drive that's created all this stuff, created nearly all economic production, certainly all technological and economic innovations and creations. But man, once you get that gal, you're just kind of like, well, I don't need to go out anymore. I don't have that incentive. And it aligns right here. Everything I did back then was to become more attractive to women. That's every guy. That's completely normal. It was pretty much the major motivator for me. I wanted to travel to meet more women, make money to get more women, imagine providing a life for my wife and kids, and these images would make me grind harder. Yep. And then you got a lot of them. And they're like, what? Whoa, hang on. Whoa. What's the divorce rate now? Whoa, maybe I'll just watch some Space Ghost. Fast forward now, I fully digested the red pill and have slept with well over 60 plus women. I work on side projects building software as a service products that will hopefully provide all my income. You even got a side hustle going on. That's great. But besides that, I'm just not sure what else there is to do for a guy like me. What else is there to do that's meaningful? I know this may be a common theme of questions you get, but I'm really curious as to what your answer would be. And here's the answer, because not to sound arrogant or cocky, I too have come to that level. And as technology has produced more and more things to provide for our food, clothing, and shelter, basically you skyrocket through Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but go study it. It'll help. So concept that'll help you understand this. Everybody starts at basic survival. Like you need safety. You can't be, getting eaten by saber-toothed tigers and you go find a cave. All right, then there's food, clothing, and shelter. You need that to survive, to get by. Then there is belonging and self-esteem. You need to belong to a community or be loved by someone. Any sub-level above that might be finding a wife or so. And then you have to have purpose and agency, like your career, your profession, what kind of legacy you're gonna. And there's self-actualization, which I've never had fully, but you're content with yourself. I don't believe self-actualization. I mean, it exists for maybe a fleeting moment, but then you're like, okay, now what? And what has happened is where most of humanity, we're talking like 99% of humans have lived and suffered in those lower two. Not until, in the grand scheme of human history, it is very recent we got rid of starvation and hunger. That was all of human existence. Where's the food? I need food. Boy, I'd sure like to have some food. And maybe you get a family and that's it. And then you struggle and starve and survive some more. Most of the people I know that have kids, they're stuck in, okay, they got self-esteem and they got a loved one. They're not going to ever get to like my career or self-actualization. They got kids. They're just too busy. But for an increasing number of men and women who choose to listen to it, technology basically obsoletes the first two levels. You're practically guaranteed, unless you really screw up, food, clothing, and shelter. You could get that by working, a 40-hour work week. Most people go on to college, get some kind of training, or they have some kind of purpose or agency. In that sense, they skip the love and self-esteem and belonging, but I'm not here to judge people's decisions. But my point is, with your basic two wiped out, like taken care of like that because you live in a first world country, and with more and more men starting to realize, whoa, this marriage thing, the self-esteem, love thing is totally not worth it. Now you've eliminated three, and now you're on the last two. You already have your profession. That's knocked out. Now you're on self-actualization. You've gone around. You've played around. You've done it. You've explored as much as you can and skyrocketed through Maslow's hierarchy of needs that you've won. You won the game before you're 30. And an increasing number of men are facing this, and an increasing number of men are going to face it, especially as more and more men eschew marriage. They don't need that. They become minimalists. Or they, in your case, you didn't go to college, but you disciplined yourself in the right field. You excelled and achieved, as they do, they master their hobbies like you're dancing. And they get to a point very much at your age, you're like, now what? I hit that at about the age of 36, 37, full 7, 8 years after you. And you're kind of like, yeah, what now? And this is where maybe you want to read Curse of the High IQ, but at least for now, you're still in a distinct minority of men and women who get to that point. And the answer is there is nothing else. So few humans throughout the history of the world have made it there, and you could tell they're the philosophers, Nietzsche, Hume, Locke, whatever. I don't really know these, but you get to this point where it's like, okay, we've taken care of it. Now you are facing an existential question, existentialism, the problems of existing. Most people never get there. They're too busy. Oh, where's the food? I got to get out of debt. They don't think about what's the point and purpose. And now here you are, because you didn't screw up. You took care of all your basic needs. And now you get to face the abyss where what the heck is the point and purpose of being here? And I wish I had the answer for you, buddy. And I don't, because I don't think there is anything after it. You've won. You won the game really early. Now you got to figure out for the next, 50, 60 years of your life expectancy, what you want to do. Now, the traditional answer, and this is the real answer, is that you would find a wife and children. I think that's what you're supposed to do here, because I don't know anything else you're supposed to do except pass on your legacy, your genetics, if you want to survive into the future. But it's to fall in love, find a wife, in latest case, find a husband, have kids if you want them, raise them, spend time with them, love them, and be a father. To be a patriarch. You have your family, you have your wife, you're proud of it, you invest in them, and you cheer them on to continue on after you have passed away. They also entertain you, they give you love, in theory, and they spend time with you. And that's it. That's what most guys and gals were doing with their lives. That's what you're supposed to do with your life. But as you know, it is frankly an unacceptable risk to get married. Most women are too busy chasing their careers. Most women are not, absolutely not trained to be wifely or motherly if you guys were to have kids. And so you're in a very rare part of human history where this not paradigm, but this tradition has been completely upended. It is no longer the case, forcing many men in your situation, or all men in your situation, frankly, where you've kept your ducks in row, you got your house in order, and you're like, all right, I mean, you make an ideal candidate for a husband, but you've dated enough women, not to mention slept with them. You know what's out there, and so now you're like logically, whoa, well, hang on now. I like food, clothing, and shelter, and I like my freedom. All those other Maslows, I really like those things, and they're stable. That's it. You never want to go back down. You never want to go back down to the lower levels of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So like, okay, hang on now. And you look at it, and there's not only nothing to invest in the future, but if you were to try to invest in things that would traditionally you'd take a huge risk of going back down, getting divorced, losing money, losing your job, and it's horrible after that. And so I could totally see it. And you've dated enough where you're like, you have no incentive. You've been down that path. There's no qualified candidates for marriage to go to that self-actualization, family, children, legacy level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And so I was like, well, what do we do? Oh, geez, Brian, what are we doing today? Same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to figure out what the heck to do. And so all I have for you is this. Hobbies. And I think I even asked you, well, what have you done adventure-wise? Any hiking, climbing, rafting, motorcycling, any hobbies outside of dancing involves seeing different parts of the world, not merely traveling? And aside from dancing and programming, do you have any craft? Like, I know it's nerdy, but I love lapidary and foundry work. I could cut and polish stones and fossils into minor art pieces, but I also love melting down scrap metal and making ants. Anything like that you either do or want to do? And you say, and nope, haven't really done anything adventure-wise. I'm still getting used to having this kind of money coming in. And for some reason, I just don't have the motivation to do anything, really. It sounds good, but zero motivation of interest in activities. It could possibly be depression of some sorts, given some of my background they already know about. But I just find myself having no desire for anything, even to do activities. That probably might be something real depression. All right? I'm no therapist. But whether it actually is depression or not, dude, you got to get off your ass. It doesn't matter if you don't want to do it. You got to do it. Like, I didn't want to go kayaking. It turns out I love kayaking. I'm just trying to think. Like, you got to force yourself to do something, because you will go into a very dark and bad place if you don't get out and do something. So what you need to do is you got to put together your bucket list now. Under 30. Under 30, you get to put your bucket list to do. And I know at the age of 30, I started doing my bucket list because I was up to here with banking. And I'm like, I'm not leaving this planet until I do these things. And I don't care if you don't feel like doing it, you have to do it. So put together your bucket list, whether it's adventuring around. I recommend motorcycle riding and hiking. You all know me and what I prefer to do. In your case, maybe just travel. Have you done your reconnaissance? Have you read Reconnaissance Man? Do you know where you want to live in the United States? I know you've traveled the world, but have you seen the Grand Canyon? Have you been to Vegas? Have you been to Yosemite National Park? Have you Crater Lake? Have you, I'm just trying to think of something that isn't a national park. Have you hung out on the north side of Chicago, eating restaurants, just checking out the architecture? Those are all travel destinations, things to get you out. And maybe as you travel, and I recommend road tripping, not necessarily flying, road tripping. Have you just gone out and wandered the desert for 40 years? Well, maybe not 40 years, you don't want to do that, but you wandered the desert a little bit. Change your environment. See things you want to see. It'll not only will it stimulate you intellectually, but you'll spend time with yours figuring things out. The answer isn't always like, boom, that's it. Sometimes it takes driving across Kansas multiple times. Like, oh, wait, I got an idea. I should do X. No one takes the time to sit down and think these things through. So not only are you doing it just to see things and to get yourself off your ass so you don't fall into a real funk or depression. This is not a choice. This is a job. It is a job. And even though I disagree with the guy on several things, you may want to consider Dennis Prager's book on happiness. Like, happiness is hard work, or happiness is not a choice. Read through that. But you got to go and do your travel. Then your hobbies. you may not like it. And what I found with hobbies is most people don't want to do it because there's a learning curve to it. Like the foundry work I do, I had to go to Home Depot. I had to study several YouTube videos. Grant Thornton, who unfortunately passed away, not Grant Thornton. That's an auditing company. It was Grant something. He does the backyard foundry work, and I put together a foundry, and I had to go to Home Depot, and I had to get the right materials and do, and it was a pain in the ass, of course. But then I started melting copper and making copper ingots and aluminum ingots, and you get to see molten metal. It was really neat. It's that investment hurdle that you got to get over, and you got to go. I mean, it can be anything, man, anything. Bowling. Maybe you realize everything that I was great at in life, I didn't think I'd be good at. Everything I thought I'd be great at, well, I was great at it, but no one cared about it. No one paid me money for it. So you may not even think you like it or not. I'm sure that when you first started thinking about tango, maybe you were a little bit apprehensive. Like you want like, oh man, I want to do this. But whatever. Golf. I got my golf clubs right there. Golf. I didn't think I'd like golf. I just, let's give it a shot. Snowboarding, skiing, some kind of, it doesn't have to be a sport. Anything, dude. Sit down, write some things that you think you'd like, and then go over. It could just be going and trying 20 different hobbies over the course of the next year or so and finding out ones you really, really like. Doesn't even have to be a physical. It could be intellectual, reading up on stoicism, philosophy. That would help you, regardless, deal with these existential questions that you're facing. But ultimately, and you want to stimulate your brain. And basically, what I've found, I'll be perfectly honest, it's about a 10-year fix. It'll satiate you for 10 years. And then, like novelty, always wearing off, it will wear off. You know what? I love motorcycle riding, but, the prospects of riding 800 miles in one day does not excite me anymore. Do I want to ride this ride again? No, I've done it 5 times already. And so it's not, and pot calling the kettle black, I gotta go and find out new hobbies to do. Now, hiking, I love hiking because there's always a hiking trail you haven't done. It's just an issue of driving out there to get to it. Just did a trail yesterday in Zion National Park I've never done before. So that's also healthy for you too. But it's your job in life to find something to do. And no matter how tired you are, and I know you all get in there like, oh man, like today I didn't want to do asshole consulting. I really didn't. On top, because we ate like pigs this morning because we went on a massive hike, and for one of the rare times I was starving in the morning. I was like, I need to eat. And we ended up getting pastry. It was all sugar too. Oh, we're so sinful, so debauched. But it's not, speaking of sinful and debauched, you're not necessarily talking of a life of hedonism. You're talking about a life of purpose and agency when basically communism, socialism / feminism, whatever you want to call it, misandry, has taken the what would normally give you point, purpose, and reason and meaning in life, and that is a loving wife and children. I would still leave the line out there for it because it's what you're programmed to want. So always keep the line out there. You might find a really nice, sweet girl. Matter of fact, you'd have to pull some Prince and Pauper type of stuff to fake not being Mr. Tango Man. Like give a fake name. Come up with a completely separate social media account so this girl can't look you up and see your winnings, not your money. I mean, your trophies and all that. Have the gals, when you date gals with your hand tied behind your back. You can't rely on your tango. Don't let them know how much money you make. You're just plumber Joe. So, and she'll fall in love with you, hopefully. So there's always that, man. Yeah. If you can find a nice gal, you really want to have kids. Okay, cool. Heck, you may just need a break from women. My God, I can't imagine. Well, I can't imagine because I used to date that much. It was great at the time. Now you're like, oh, no. But so aside from that, you keep the hope out there for it. But the statistical chances are very, very likely you are not going to get married or have kids. You're just not going to, you're of a horrible age. Not that there's anything particular about that age, but for marriage, I've done the data. I've done the research. My seminar I'm giving at the Rule Zero group is going to be analyzing the ROI on the pursuit of women, and the numbers are just horrible, bad. That most young men your age, successful or not, you're going to have to find point and purpose in life outside of women. All right. And so I know that, at least me personally, adventuring, hobbies, hiking, whatever, going out and exploring the world that's available to us today, that'll give you about 10 years. Might give you a little bit more because you're younger than when I started. You got more energy. But you, like everything, you will get tired. You will. And you're going to have to find new hobbies. And so it's like this constant hunt for a hobby fix. You're a hobby junkie. Not because there's something mentally wrong with you, but because it's a healthy thing to do. Get into a new type of physical activity. Maybe you go into rock climbing, whatever it is. You got to find a reason to get up in the morning and a reason to find happiness and joy in life. And unfortunately, it cannot be dependent on women because they're just not designed or programmed nowadays to make men happy. They're I hate to say it, sounds so horrible. They're designed to make your life kind of hell. Certainly not support, but they constantly fight. Not a compliment, but an obstacle to your life. So now you got to go to hobbies, adventure list. So I really, and that's the best I got. That's the best I've ever come up with philosophically, facing the abyss now for 7-8 years. It's kind of like, that's it. Some people do find religion, and I'm not necessarily against that. And like Roosh, he did his big tour. He toured the galaxy, and he came back, and now he's religious. Some other guys have done that too. I've known many men and some women who've gone on their life's journey, and then they come back to religion. And they find solace in that. And maybe they believe it, maybe they don't, I don't know, but I've seen that happen to people. Not the worst thing, It provides structure and guidance, morality. Except, what, kill that guy hiding behind the tree because he's not one of us. Yeah, maybe take it with a cup of salt. But yeah, man, that's your to simplify your job now in a post-hedonistic life is to find out what to do. That's your job, and then to go and do it. And I would also then add to that, in addition to adventure and hobbies, you find some kind of craft or legacy, of which you've already left some with your dancing. So you've already left the legacy, but maybe there's something else you can do. You become a great artist. You become a great musician. It could be something as simple as donating time to helping with like Big Brothers Little Sisters kind of thing. Just helping with old people or something. I don't know, but you got to get out there and do it, man. You got to go find it. Now, admittedly, nowadays it's going to be very hard with the disease going around. But and mark my words, it's going to happen to more people, especially and women too. They're going to face this too, especially now that we've gotten rid of each other and like just the gender war going on. A lot of people are going to have to find out what to do in life when they don't have love, and even if you have love, you're still going to have to figure it out what to do. Kids leave the home, mom starts crying, my little babies, and like it's because you lost what gave you point and purpose. Oh, why do you think grandparents want grandchildren, or your parents want grandchildren so much? Because, no. Like, you never treated me that nice. What the hell? Well, you gave the kid ice cream. We didn't have what's this? Your father's so mean. All right. Let's go through the super chats here. Hey, Nick Schuler. Nick, we were talking about you. We were totally picking on you the entire time we were driving up to Zion last night. We were slamming on you and Bacon. It was great. $2. Where's this Utah you speak of? It is to your southeast. Or no, he's straight south. You're Washington. That's Oregon. That's Nevada. Yeah, southeast. Dr. Oatmeal for $5. Staying a bachelor gives you plenty of room to take more risks, and if you fail, it's okay. Yep, absolutely. Although I don't know. I mean, so what? You fail at a sport. Like I ended up playing basketball a little bit. I'm horrible at. I could dribble and help, good support player, but I'm horrible at taking a shot. I mean, if you fail, it's like, oh, I didn't bike up the hill as quickly as I wanted to, but you still got your exercise. Phil Henry for €5. After success playing shitty old Zelda on a shitty new Switch, I started picking up video games again. What are your views on vaping? I'm for it, dude. If it prevents you from smoking cigarettes, absolutely. Kind of stinks. It's got that like marijuana not smell, but tinge. Like when something stinks, you spray Lysol over it to make it smell better. It smells weird. But yeah, man, I'm nothing against vaping. Yeah, you don't want to get cancer, man. That's as I smoke my cigars. Did I miss anything? Look at all these. Team vasectomy. For $2. In 2 years, I'll be in the Dominican Republic banging 3 escorts a day. Good for you, team vasectomy. Did you get a vasectomy? Did you get it? Team vasectomy. Number one way out of poverty, guys, get yourself a vasectomy. Well, then I'll never be able to have kids again. That's a complete lie. You could have kids later, either by freezing sperm or having something directly extracted. Team vasectomy. Did I get them all? I think I did. All right. We'll see you guys later. Toodles.